Hey everybody! Thank you for joining me today. Today, I know it's been a long time since we had a video and I wanted to get something up. So it's going to be a combination. So it's our Friday video and I'm going to be doing a challenge from the Hollywood crop for my little scrapbook store. And we're doing challenge number 18. It's called Movie Premiere. And it says scrapbook, a special first time experience, first trip, first day, first milestone. So I am documenting the first time I met all the design team. We were all together in one place together. We'd never been together. A lot of us are from different states. So this was a really great time. And this is Bella Boulevard's Let's Scrapbook collection. We're going to be cutting out the two of the 2x2s, 3x4 cut aparts down at the bottom. Excuse me. And we're going to be using some of these extra pieces. Possibly, I may not go to those. It may just be this particular like green paper that we're going to use for our base. And what I like to do is when I use these stencils or templates, they call them, I like to use the backing sheet as a sort of like I guess a pattern to trace. And it fits perfectly when you do that to the actual template itself, and it allows you to build up from there. You can do layers. So we know the top is 4x6. So what I do is I cut out a matte piece of paper that's 4x6, and then I cut my photo to be a 1/4 of an inch smaller than that, and that gives us our layered look. Okay, and the same thing would work for the 3x4s. So I cut out a base paper that's going to be 3x4, and then cut the cut aparts down to 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, giving us, the edge around them as well. And on this, I'm going to use eat, sleep, scrap, and repeat, because that's what we did that week. We ate, we slept, and we scrapped. It was wonderful hanging out with all of the members of the store, and it was just really one of those great weekends and the highlight really of my year last year. All right, so we're just trimming this down, and because it has a border, I did 1/8 of an inch off of each side, so that way it would still look even. All right, then we're going to put those to the side. And I will wind up having to cut that one with all the multiple colors, like the washi tape. I will have to cut that again because I only cut it once and it wasn't enough of a border. So I did have to trim that down again. But we'll get to that in a second. So there's the template going down. And usually I put the pixie spray behind it. But today I was like, I think I can get this on. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm looking to my side. Oh, I'm sorry. To see what color blue I had and what would work best. And I found this light blue, but I realized I really wanted the dark blue. So I grabbed one of the few pieces of 12x12 I have left, cut it at 4 inches, and then cut it in half again at 6. So that's our mat, and that's going to go right there. And then the last piece, all I have to do is cut at 3, and we have our pieces for the 2 3x4 spots. Now what I like about this too with the templates, like we're putting 3x4 cards in each of those spots. We could put just a plain white piece of paper in one of those spots and use it for journaling if we wanted to. These templates, they really take the guesswork out of trying to figure out like how to design the layout. Do you know what I mean? And that's one of the benefits, and I really do enjoy using them. I know actually it's been a while since I used this one, I think, on the page, because when I first used it I lost it and then I found it again when I was cleaning up, so that's fun. And then they have so many variations and sizes and stuff that you could, any one of these squares, you could replace with journaling and then use photos at the bottom. Like we could reverse this and put like 2 3x4 photos, turn it and put those at the top, and then do our journaling down at the bottom in the bigger space if there was more story to tell. You could put photos in all three places. You know what I mean? Where if you had multiple photos that you wanted to scrap of the same place, the same event. So this is me here cutting it or trimming it down again. So like I said, I just wanted to make sure that it had the same amount of border as our eat, sleep, scrap, repeat. Excuse me. All right, a little bit of glue, lay that down. I'm just using the clear blocks to kind of keep everything laying down. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. And then I'll move that little small block and put my big square on top. And we're going to attach our photo. And just in case if this is the first time you're finding my channel, I do use both tape and glue. I think the glue gives us just a few seconds to be able to move stuff around if we needed to, just in case. And so I always use it. Now, I know for sure I want to use this, which is saying Scrappy Friends. And then we're also going to start laying out some elements. I'm going to put this Bella pop up here at the top. I'm thinking maybe this little side piece. Now, I will say in this collection, there are some big pieces. And I still haven't been able to figure out how I'm going to use them. There's a desk that I want to use at some point. But instead, for right now, I just start grabbing some things that I want to use to kind of create like little clusters and areas at the bottom. And I was thinking about the typewriter, and then I was like, no, that's not going to work. So we're still looking. Nothing's set in stone. I've got all the bits into like a little tray that I'm looking through right now, trying to figure out, well, what's going to work out best. And then I thought, well, why don't I use this little like carry tote, which I did use mine for this trip. I'm going to put the Stanley Cup kind of off to the side with the camera and stuff. Like, I was just looking for different things to use that were scrapbooking that we could layer up. And once I kind of had the idea laid out, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use some of this pet tape as well. Sometimes I like to use it, and sometimes, I'll forget. But what it does, it doesn't need to stand out a lot. But what it creates for this is a place for everything to kind of land, right? I know if you've ever watched Tisa, she's one of our other design team members. She'll say stuff like, give it a shelf, like something to land on. And for me, that's what this particular tape was doing. It was going to give it just a little spot for it to land, for your eyes to come to, make everything make sense. And then, I could create my two clusters down at the bottom and put one up at the top with the I love to scrap pennant that we're going to put in the upper right hand side. All right. And of course, if you've never dealt with the pet tape, sometimes the backing comes off super quick and sometimes it's a pain in the butt. And then at first, when I put this down, I was so crooked. I was like, oh my God. As soon as I moved the photo over top of it, I was like, oh my God, even I can see it with the naked eye, how drunk that was. So I'm going to try and grab my T-square and see if that'll help me straighten it up enough. And then I'll just tuck that little edge over. And then that was way better, thank God. Because at first I was like, oh Lord. And then, and you can use your wet tape underneath the pet tape if you wanted to just use it in a little bit of the spots. I think that's not a bad idea. I didn't use it on this particular one, only because I knew we were going to put some stuff on top of it and kind of lay them down. So they would have something on top, you know what I mean? But if I was just putting it down, straight down, I would use the wet glue because it does dry clear. So it's not going to bother anything to put a little bit of glue under there. And then same thing with the foam tape. once I take the backing off, I am going to add a little bit of wet glue and then put that straight down. I love the little camera. And then we're going to create our cluster over here on the left. So with this, I'm just going to add a little bit of the wet glue and then lay that straight down. And then for the Scrappy Friends, I am going to use some foam squares. Now these are from Craft Perfect, and I'm just going to layer them down all the way down so that way it's nice and even, and then that's going to sit right in the center. Perfect. All right, let's get these backings off, and then I always use some wet glue on each of the squares before I glue them down. There you go. And that's just so if we go to lay it down and it's not even, we could potentially move it right or left, depending. All right, so now we're going to do up in the upper right. Now, I didn't put any glue down on this one on the back. Normally, usually I would, but I didn't. And I just put a little bit of glue at the center. Well, you'll see me do that right here. And then put that down so it's like it's a pendant holding it down. Yeah. And actually, while I'm doing this with you guys right now, I am going to sneak a little bit of glue under there because it did come up. And then that way I know for sure it's nice and secure. Okay. And then in the center of the camera and in the center of the heart, I put the two elements that was on the pop packaging. Okay. And now we're going to build up a similar selection. I got a cup with like pens, pencils, and scissors, another Stanley cup, another one of those button wheels, and then there was also a camera, this one being a Polaroid. So I'm going to put this on top. It kind of blends in. Oh, that was my cat Salem. Of course, he had to make an appearance. This cat. This is why I don't get much work done. Because a lot of times he'll come and just sit right on my desk. And it's like, I got to give him loving. I got to pay the loving tax. He must hear me because he's moving. Okay. So now that we got everything laid down, there's only one thing left to do, right? And that is splatter. I always loved the splatter. Ever since I started, I used to do like sequins a lot and gems a lot. But for me, I can't explain and I can't tell you why. It's something about the splatters. I love it, especially on dark paper with the white and then the black. Now this time, instead of using black, because we're on black paper, I used the blue. What's this blue? Speckled egg from the Distress Oxides. And I love it because that ties in with the lighter blue that's in the shirts that Lily and Belle are wearing. And then I have the darker blue around the photo itself. So we get a little bit of everything. I love it. Take that off. And there's our layout. So much fun. And it was super quick, super easy. I didn't have to overthink and overstress. And here are some close-ups. So hopefully I'll be getting back into the groove to really get you guys some photos, because I want to finish the challenges for the Scrappy Crop, and then also just, you know, get back into the swing of things, especially with my Technique Tuesdays and stuff like that. So, you know, bear with me. You know, life be life and sometimes, but I always like sharing with you guys, and you know, I don't want to go too long without that. So thanks again, and I'll see you guys with our next video.